Half of my niggas in jail, the other half is gone. Rest in peace to them all, and see y'all when y'all come home. Life is crazy. This life be crazy. Life is crazy. This life be crazy. Some of my niggas got dope, some of my niggas be broke. How will my life go?
So what's your name and where you from?
All right, so my name is Jeffrey. I'm from, I say 3 places, because equally just about, I did beginning of my life in Oakland, and then Modesto, and then prison. I tend to lean towards prison, as weird as it sounds. I did majority of my life in prison. If you break down the 3, Oakland, Modesto, prison, I did majority of, like, yeah.
I get what you're saying. I never heard that, though. I never heard that.
And like, you know, you hear a lot of people say, oh man, if you ain't, you ain't from the town, or shit like that. I just tend to keep it from my experiences. A lot of my early beginnings and the traumas that I went through in my life came from Oakland. And a lot of things that I learned from that came from Oakland. Then I went to Modesto as a 12-year-old, and then I, went to school out there, high school, and got in a bunch of trouble out there. And I learned different things out there. And then I went to prison and learned a bunch.
We're gonna get into that.
For sure. So I break it down. Oakland, Modesto, and prison. That's
I've never heard. So growing up, let's say, from the time you were born, is it anything you want to talk about?
Yeah. So from the time I was born, my mom and my father were addicted to crack cocaine, and I think my mother was addicted to heroin as well. And so I was actually born addicted to both heroin and cocaine. And so there was a short period of time where I was living with my biological family, but for whatever reason, I needed drugs to help me. I was basically fighting off, what do you call it?
Cold turkey.
Yeah, I was going through a cold turkey, but I shouldn't. I was a baby, and I needed those drugs to help me get through it, because essentially I was having withdrawals.
So how long was that process?
My auntie said I was doing that for the first 2 years of my life.
Oh, really?
Where it got to a point to where they couldn't afford the medication that I needed, so the state came in and took me at that point and put me in foster care. And so I grew up.
What ages were you in foster care?
I'm sorry?
What ages were you in foster care?
So I was in foster care from the time I think I was from 2 to 12. I got adopted at 12. And my experience in the foster care system is one that makes me want to do something about the current system.
How many different foster cares were you in?
2, but I got removed from my first one because I was constantly getting beaten, and I wasn't going to school at all. I actually didn't start school until I got to my second foster home, and that was 2nd grade.
Beaten by who?
By my adopted father. My foster father at the time, and even my foster mom, and then their kids. They had an older son named John that went to the army. Yeah. And when he came back from the army, he was all fucked up, and he just take it out on us.
Just use it on you.
And just if I'm being honest, just a lot of shit that little kids shouldn't have to go through. I had a foster brother named Rudy. They used to make us fight all the time. We used to get beat. I'm talking about beat to the points where we used to have bruises on our bodies, which is why I got removed. And then he later on got removed. Just a lot of different traumas that little kids shouldn't necessarily have to go through.
So how was that as a kid, as far as mentally?
Mentally, I don't think I internalized it until I got older. I just knew that I was in I had a lot of anger, and I'm an emotional guy at nature, and I think it came from that. It's not pleasing when you have to fight the closest person to you at the time, which was my foster brother. It's not very pleasing when you have to fight them and you want to stop, but they're forcing you to, or when you gotta get beat with belt buckles and shit like that.
Who's forcing you?
My foster parents at the time.
Force you guys to fight?
Yeah, we used to have to fight all the time because one of us got in trouble or whatever the case. And I actually found out later that really the only reason why we were there in the first place was to be a financial aid to them.
Yeah,
you know,
you get paid for it.
Yeah, a lot of
Pay for
people.
each person. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I believe at the time it was $500 each child, and then after, when you get adopted, I think it turns into $1,000 each child up until the point of 18. So, you know, and mind you, this is back in the 90s. You know, there was a lot of things going on, and it's just it's things that I wouldn't wish on any child. You know.
Yeah. No child should go through that. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you were saying school, you didn't start school till the 2nd grade?
Yeah, so it's ironic. So I was in school, but I didn't attend school on a regular basis, to say the least. I didn't go to kindergarten at all. I skipped that whole process. And the times that I did go to, I was in 1st grade, it was slim to none. But it's ironic, the day that the state of California took me from that foster home to the family that I ended up getting raised under and got adopted by, I was actually in school that day, which is kind of funny. But yeah, so they came and picked me up at school. Didn't ask me any questions, just grabbed my hand and took me on a long road trip and found my family that I have now.
Yeah, so as far as not going to school, were you still getting an education or were you behind?
No, I was not going to school. They didn't care at all about.
So you weren't learning at home?
I wasn't learning at home. I didn't actually learn how to read and write probably until I got to the 3rd grade. My mom, God bless her soul, you know, she saved my life. I met her at the age of 7, and she saved my life. She dedicated her life not just to me, but I have 2 other sisters that she adopted, and if it wasn't for her, I would definitely be a lost cause in this world, if not dead.
So you were adopted, you said 2nd grade, 3rd grade?
I got adopted at the age of 12. I believe it was 5th grade. But at that time, I had got held back at 5th grade. So that was the 2nd time around.
You got held back twice?
One time.
One time?
But that was the 2nd time at 5th grade that I got adopted.
Huh. And then you were saying through high school. How was high school?
High school was short. So my 8th grade year, I knew I wanted to play sports, football really. And I put forth some effort just so I can make the team, because you can't get on the team unless your grades are par. So, I put forth a little effort just to make sure I made the team, in which I did. So, I played freshman football, but my whole freshman year, it was just like the other years, minus that last little bit in 8th grade. It was, F's, D's, no C's, no B's.
Why do you think that? What happened?
I was a kid who, I was angry. I was confused. I was troubled, to say the least. Given everything that I had been through, and was going through, because I ended up getting out of one foster home and into another one doesn't mean that the situation got better. So I wasn't in a place where I cared about anything, and to be honest, I don't even know if I had the capacity at the time to care about myself.
And this was all probably from your early childhood? So?
Yeah, this is most definitely from my early childhood, because I was surrounded by people who didn't care.
So did you graduate?
No, I got expelled 2 weeks into my sophomore year, and this is when I'm in Modesto.
Yeah.
So I went to a school out there called Downey, and 2 weeks into my freshman year, I was just into a lot of trouble. I was getting into fights and just a whole bunch of stuff. And one day I did something that I tend not to make no regrets, but one day I did something to this kid that like to anybody would completely humiliate them. And some people, depending on how their mental status is, they might have killed themselves based off what I did to them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then so I get expelled. Me and my brother, we get expelled the same day. And I actually go to juvie because I threatened the vice principal. They charged me with a terrorist threat. And at the time I didn't even know what that was, but high school was short. I did end up going to a continuation school, but I dropped out 11th grade. It wasn't no point.
Okay. And family members, as far as siblings.
So
How many you have? Biological.
biological, I have biological, I have 7. 2 on my dad's side and 4 on my. That's 6. I have 6 biological, but
Were you close to any of them?
no. So that's a whole nother story within itself. I just met them when I got out of prison for the first time in person. But I met them over the phone in prison. I used to have my own phone in prison. I met them in 2012, and I found my brother. Actually, I found my sister on Facebook, and then through her, I found my brother, and then the rest of my family.
It's crazy how social media work.
Yeah.
And you were saying something happened to one of your brothers.
So I actually got 12 brothers and sisters.
Sheesh.
Because, mind you, I wasn't fortunate enough to grow with my biological siblings. So the majority of the brothers and sisters that I have are closest to, I grew up with them, throughout my lifetime away from my biological family.
Mm-hmm.
I have a brother named Corey who passed away in 2008, actually on Mother's Day, and he was into some stuff, you know what I'm saying, and some dudes, went there with it, and unfortunately my brother lost his life.
In Oakland?
Nah, this is in Modesto.
Oh.
Yeah, so, and then a month later I went to jail and I didn't get out until 10 years later.
So you went to jail. What happened? What's the story behind that?
So jail came about. So at that time and at that age, I'm gonna be completely honest, and this is what I try to do, even with my YouTube.
Definitely.
I was a follower. If I just put it on the table, at that age and that time in my life, I was a follower, and I was doing things because I thought other people would like the things that I did. I thought it would please people. And don't get me wrong, yeah, I was popular, but really, the only reason why I was somewhat popular is because of the stupid shit that I was doing.
Yeah.
And it caught up to me. My brother who passed away, he has a brother who unfortunately passed away too, about 4 years ago. But he, at the time when Corey passed away, family wasn't doing too good financially, so we were like, we need to hit a couple licks, whatever, help out the family. So that's really all that was about. It was more so just trying to bury Corey, and make sure that the family was good. But it went bad, like all the way bad, and it really got to a point to where I was the only one who got in trouble. There was 3 of us. Case closed. I can talk about it. I went to trial for it. Lost, and served my time. And it was a very unfortunate situation, a very unfortunate time in my life. But I feel like that 10 years that I did in prison, it made me who I am today. I feel like if I didn't go to prison, I would have been a lost cause. I would have been dead. I would have been,
Yeah. Did they offer you a plea?
I would have been worse off.
They offered you a plea or what? Before you fought it?
They initially, the DA out there in Modesto, they initially were going to, but then they pulled the plug. And then they forced me to go to trial. The judge actually got mad and was like, "Yo, you guys are offering all these people, this is my first offense, never got Huh?
They gave you 10 years for your first offense.
Yeah, I got a 12-year sentence for attempted robbery. Mind you, I did have a gun. So in the midst of that robbery, I was attempting to rob. We were going to take the safe out of Walgreens, and it was right when they closed. There was nobody really in there except for the employees. And I had a shotgun, a sawed-off shotgun, and I pointed it at a pregnant lady. Now I didn't know she was pregnant at the time.
Yeah.
But she was pregnant, and I put that woman through a lot of stress, mental and emotional stress because of that night. And yeah, as bad as that is, I still don't think 12-year sentence is deserving of that crime. However, and a lot of people that I know, they say the same thing. However, I say, you know, God makes no mistakes, and I need it every day and second that I spent in prison. I need it because it shaped exactly who I am.
So with that sentence, you think they tried to make an example out of you, or is that kind of just how it is in Modesto?
Nah, I know for a fact they were trying to prove a point. They were trying to make an example out of me. Not only, so I had the first black woman judge. I think just black judge period in Stanislaus County. She was my judge. She was new, and I think they just really they really wanted to make a point to say, hey, I don't care where you guys come from. You come to Stanislaus County. You come to Modesto with your bullshit. We got something for you. And I without a doubt, I know that's what they were trying to do.
So probably in Oakland it would have been less.
Oh no, without a doubt, I would have had 6 months, maybe a year.
Yeah, first time offense.
First time offense, slap on the wrist.
Nobody hurt.
Nobody hurt.
Exactly.
And even the victim in my case, she was like, man, I hope you guys gonna give him a lot of time.
And they still did.
And they
so
hit
that
me.
was them instead of.
They hit me with 3 gun enhancements, a mandatory 10-year gun enhancement. They hit me with, of course, attempted robbery and then second-degree burglary. They just hit me with the highest crimes that you could, or the highest penal codes that you could think of, and it was like, for what? Like, And I'm gonna tell you, the same week that I got sentenced, there was 2 plea deals that week. I got sentenced because I went to trial and lost. But there was 2 white boys. One killed somebody, got manslaughter, got 11 years. Another guy stabbed his stepdad in the chest with a screwdriver like 16 times, and he got 6 years.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And it's all documented. Like, you can go back in that time, the same time that I got sentenced, and you can see it's all in the newspaper. So I'm like, man.
That's ridiculous. That's,
you know?
Definitely, I'm sure it's because you were a black man.
Oh, I know that. I know that
That's
without a doubt.
ridiculous.
I know that without a doubt. But I made it a valiant effort, and I knew that at the time. I was 18 when I went in. By the time I got sentenced, I was 19. I knew what they were doing to me, and I told myself, I'm gonna make them wish they gave me a life sentence. I'm gonna make them wish they never gonna let me out. Because,
how was the experience in jail?
It was rough. Just being honest, I was a 19-year-old kid about to go to prison, and it wasn't no leaving. It wasn't no, mom come get me. It wasn't none of that. It was, damn, I fucked up and I'm about to be in here. And at the time, I remember when I got sentenced and they said 12 years. I remember thinking, I only got 10 fingers, and so I can't even count to 12 on my fingers. Like, goddamn, and I was just, it sucked. I remember when I got my 12 years, I cried. They took me to the holding tank and I cried. And I was surrounded by Nortes and this dude from Ghost Town who was getting out the same day, and he told me, he said, oh, I know what you're going through. And he said, but you can't let them see you cry. I said, man, shut the hell up, because you going home, bro. You don't know what I'm going through, bro. I just got 12 years. So I shed my tears. I didn't give a fuck who was listening, who was looking.
You have any support while you was in there?
I had support. My mom was always there for me. Like I said, that woman, God bless her soul, she passed away last October from cancer. She saved my life, and she was always there for me. Like I said, she went above and beyond to make sure that I understood that she'll never forsake me. You know what I'm saying? And so when I was in there, man, she wrote me all the time. She did her best to send money when she could. And then I had, my sister, one of my sisters, or 2 of my sisters and a couple of brothers that helped me out throughout the time. So I got about 6 people throughout my 10 years that, really stayed there and helped me out.
So getting out of jail, how was that process?
So getting out of jail was crazy because I had never experienced life on earth as an adult outside of prison. I became a man in prison. I literally grew up from boy. I made the transition from boy to man in prison. And so getting out, even something simple as a car ride, it was crazy to me because any inconsistency in the road was messing me up, and it was tossing me around in places like I wasn't even used to something like that. But on the other hand, I had a plan. I had a plan that I worked on for a number of years, and I had my mom, who came down from South Carolina.
You're biological or?
No, my mother who raised me. She came down from South Carolina because she's originally from there. So she moved back, or she came back to help me transition for a couple of weeks. But it was a struggle because I didn't have anything. I didn't have a social security card, birth certificate, license, nothing. So I had to go through the process of getting all that, and it took a little minute, and there was some uphill battles. I couldn't get my ID unless I had my social security card, and I couldn't get my social security card unless I had an ID. So it was a lot of things that played that they don't tell you about, you know, and that you really gotta just thug it out and go through the motions. I was a certified welder. I did 8 years in welding school while I was in prison.
Wow.
And I excelled at it to the point to where whenever congressmen or senators from the state of California come in, John Legend, whoever, I was chosen to speak on behalf of the school. So I had a plan, and I went to work. After I got all my documents, I went straight to work. I went to the Iron Workers Union, signed up, paid my money, and I went to work as a welder, a certified welder for about a year. In between that year, I was taking tests to become a certified welding inspector. I had a couple of failures, but I went back to the books, grinding some more, and I kept going back. You know, I had to take it, the test twice, I retake it twice. One time in Portland, and I had to go back to Sacramento. But I ended up, you know, I stayed at it, and I ended up passing the test, which is crazy because initially they told me that I failed for the third time, and then I get an email from the American Welding Society, and they say, call us. So I called them. It was January 15th of last year, and they said, we made a mistake. There was an audit on the scoring, and it turned out that you actually passed.
Oh, wow.
And I cried because I had put so much, I was studying for that test for years, you know, and a lot of engineers with masters, you know, they take them tests, the same test I took, and they fail it all the time. It's the hardest test in the construction industry in the world.
And you passed it.
And I passed it.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so thank you. And so yeah, I'm the youngest black welding inspector in California.
That's dope.
You know,
That's
so
dope.
yeah, so I'm trying to show the people, man, you know, you can mess up bad, and people can say whatever they say about you. They can have systems designed to destroy you. But if you're willing to go and look past all of that and put in hard work, I'm talking about like some real hard work. You gotta look at yourself in the mirror, and you gotta ask yourself some tough questions, and you'll be able to get through it. I'm telling you. I made, by the time I got out parole, I was making more money than my parole officer supervisor.
And they wasn't expecting that.
I had to submit all my receipts, all my pay stubs, and he said, damn, man, you make more than me.
That's dope.
I had to like, yeah, I do, you know? Yeah, so, yeah, man.
So family, out of jail.
So family out of jail is crazy.
You have kids or what?
Yeah, so I do have kids. But okay, so I never met my biological family as in person, but I met all of them at a month later after I get out. It's my dad's birthday, and he's having a barbecue with all the family from my mom to my dad's side. So I meet everybody. My mom for the first time, my dad.
Since two.
Since two.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it was the greatest feeling I've ever had, or besides getting out of prison, it was like the greatest feeling I've ever had. And then the same day of that barbecue that I met my entire family, I actually met the woman that I asked to marry me, Tiara. I needed someone to do my hair. She, you know, she had room for me, and she did my hair for the barbecue. And that day we talked, man. I've never had a conversation with a woman like that before. It wasn't anything about sex. It wasn't anything. It was nothing about. All it was about financial goals and aspirations and dreams and how do you get here and like what do you got to do to get there. You know, it was real inspiring.
Common interests.
Yeah, common interests. You know what I'm saying? And turning to find out, man, we were, you know, a month later we were together and been together ever since. She had 3 kids before me, which is okay. I accepted her kids as my own. And mind you, I was adopted. I had someone who literally accepted me as her own and gave me.
Went back in full circle.
I went back in full circle.
Yeah.
And then we have a 4th child, my newborn. But
Congratulations on that too.
Yeah, thank you. So it's family is rough, man. You have a plan, and you know your plan is designed specifically for you, and then God puts you in a whole family dynamic. It gets tough, because one, I'm learning how to be a man out here for the first time. You know, there's no rule book out here. I know how to do that in there, but now I got everyone that I know. They got to do it from 18 to however old they are. You feel me? So they got to go through.
Because you were in there from 19 to 28.
Well, I was locked up from 18
to 28, and then you're how old right now?
I'm 31.
31.
Yeah.
Oh, so only a few years.
Yeah, 2.5 years.
Oh wow! And you accomplished all of that in 2.5 years.
Yeah.
The welding and getting more than a probation officer.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, I got off parole last August. And I got off a year early.
Congratulations again.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I had a plan. And I know when I met my family, when I met my queen, you know, God altered my route, but my plan stayed the same. And it took longer, you know, to get where I wanted to eventually be. But I stayed the course, and I stayed with the grind and the mentality like you can't let nothing fail. You can't let nothing take you off your course. And that's what I preach, man. You can have a goal, you can have plans, and life gon' change your route in a dramatic way, but you still gotta find a way to keep going and get to your ultimate goal. So that's what I do, man. I don't make no excuses. I feel like people who make excuses, they end up failing in life. You know what I'm saying? And I already went through that phase, and I'm done being a failure. I've been a failure. If you let the government call it, I've been a failure since before I was born. My mom and my dad were addicted to drugs. Just how they designed it. You know.
So, last thing, if you were to talk to some youth, kind of like in your situation, let's say from 16 to 18, what would you tell them?
You gotta be willing to listen, man. Like, I know I was a 16, I was you, and you gotta be willing to listen. If you got people who are telling you some wise stuff, man, I already know you. I don't want to do that. I already know your mentality. You gotta be able to say, you know what, man. I gotta think about my future. I gotta think about my older self, because your older self, if you listen right now, if someone's giving you game, if someone's giving you game, you gotta be able to say, you know what, my older self is gonna appreciate it if I just listen to him or her and see what they gotta say, because chances are they're giving you something that you need for your growth, for your benefit. And if you don't listen, chances are you're gonna do something of the opposite, which is gonna get you in nothing but trouble or worse. I'm telling you, there's nothing out in these streets that's gonna benefit your life in one way, shape, or form. I don't give a damn what artists out here doing whatever they do, or what you see on TV or YouTube or Instagram. These streets have nothing for you. I'm telling you. And this from a person who comes from the system from the time I was born to I'm still in the system trying to figure out how the hell do we crush it. So you gotta be able to listen. That's my number one advice to you youngsters out here, man. Just listen to people who are trying to give you game. And take heed to it. Don't just listen and practice it. It takes time, footsteps, one step at a time. That's what I say.
Appreciate you doing this interview with me.
Oh man, it's my pleasure, man.
When shit getting crazy, even the ladies be shady. Feel like the packers, I got cheese, nigga, like Verizon, I keep 4Gs. Niggas know niggas that stay on that blocker with them choppers, ready for problems. Seen girls grow up into hoe bitches, need chicks for their pimps to get them more rich. A couple bullets fly, and my niggas died at the right place at the wrong time. Seen niggas shine at the bump for mine, it be hard times, so now it's time to grind. Since I was 5, really thought I would be on TV, I just shooting them threes. Now skills change to the rap game, trying to get fame, money cause a change. Gotta go harder, they can't be lazy. Stay ready, cause life be crazy. I said life be crazy. Life be crazy. Life be crazy. Life be crazy. Life be crazy.